Now let us continue with the rest of the passage. Then I told what a tall, upright, graceful person their great grandmother Field once was. Charles Lamb continues to tell the children about great grandmother Field. He tells them that she was a tall, upright, standing straight, healthy, a graceful, a charming, beautiful person their great grandmother Field once was. And how in her youth she was esteemed the best dancer. Here Alice's little right foot played an involuntary movement, till upon my looking grave it desisted. So when Lamb was saying that Grandmother Field was a highly respected dancer, little Alice's right foot played an involuntary movement, as if she is trying to imitate Grandmother Field dancing. Then, when Alice saw that Charles Lamb was looking grave, looking serious, she stopped, desisted. The best dancer, as I was saying, in the county, till a cruel disease called cancer came and bowed her down with pain. Her dancing career ended because she was affected by cancer. Lamb tells a cruel disease, cancer, and bowed her down with pain. So she was affected by this deadly disease, and that ended her career as a dancer. However, it could never bend her good spirits or make them stoop, but they were still upright because she was so good and religious. Even though she was affected by the disease, it could never bend her good spirit. It could never spoil her mental ability or mental quality, her spirits. She was always happy or make them stoop. She cannot be conquered by. She was unable to be conquered by the disease. She was still upright. The reason why she was able to remain like that was, according to Lamb, she was so good and religious. Then I told how she was used to sleep by herself in a lone chamber of the great lone house, and how she believed that an apparition of the two infants was to be seen at midnight gliding up and down the great staircase near where she slept. We have already discussed that Norfolk, the place where the great house was located, there was a legend about two small children being killed by their uncle for their inheritance. And it was believed by the people of the neighborhood that there existed the ghosts of these two children there. And it is about this thing that Charles Lamb was pointing out here. Then Lamb told the children how Grandmother Field was used to sleep by herself in a very lonely room of this lonely house. And Grandmother Field believed that an apparition means ghost, of two infants was to be seen at midnight, gliding up and down the great staircase near where she slept. And she believed that. She saw the apparitions of two children gliding, moving up and down the great staircase near where she slept. However, she said those infants would do her no harm. She believed that. Probably she was a great religious believer. That is why she believed that those innocents would do her no harm. And how frightened I used to be. I, Charles Lamb, used to be. In those days, I had my maid to sleep with me because I was never half so good or religious as she. The reason why, see, when Charles Lamb went to the Norfolk house and stayed with Grandmother Field, probably during his holidays, Lamb was very much frightened by the thought about the apparitions or ghosts. Even though at that time there was a maid to sleep with him, he was really afraid, frightened. The reason was that he was not as good or religious as Grandmother Field. But still, I never saw the infants. So even though he was very much frightened, even though he was not so good or religious as Grandmother Field, he never saw the infants. Here at this point, one among the dream children, the boy, John, expanded all his eyebrows and tried to look courageous. So, children's the responses to the stories about Grandmother Field was being told by Charles Lamb all through the paragraphs. So here, John tells them that John tried to look more courageous. Now let us move on to the next para. Then I told how good she was to all her grandchildren. See, we have already said that Grandmother Field was a very good personality and she was very good to all her grandchildren, having us to the great house in the holidays. So it was a great opportunity for these children to go to the house and stay there for the holidays. And they used to do that. Where I, in particular, used to spend many hours by myself in gazing upon the old busts of 12 Caesars that had been emperors of Rome, till the old marble heads would seem to live again. So Charles Lamb used to spend his holidays along with the Grandmother Field, and when he visited the house, he enjoyed very much in spending the times in observing the features of this house. He used to look very closely upon the old busts of old statues of 12 Caesars that had been emperors of Rome. You know that it is a very old house and it is full of old art forms, statues, sculptures, etc. So there were old statues of 12 Caesars that ruled Rome. And when he closely observed them, he felt that the old marble heads would seem to live again. And another observation or hallucination, he felt that, or I to be turned into marble with them. How I never could be tired with roaming about the huge mansion, with its vast empty rooms, with their worn-out hangings, fluttering tapestry, and carved oaken panels, with the gilding almost rubbed out. So Lamb very much enjoyed the times he spent in the house, in the big house. He was never tired of roaming around that huge mansion, huge building, with its vast empty rooms. It was a very big house with a lot of rooms which were empty, and the hangings, the pictures probably, the tapestry, that is the curtains, these things were of course worn out, slowly destroyed by time, and carved oaken panels uh, built with the oak wood, with the gilding almost rubbed out. Gilding means gold coverings almost rubbed out with the passage of time. Sometimes in the spacious old-fashioned gardens which I had almost to myself, unless when now and then a solitary garden man would cross me. And sometimes in the spacious old-fashioned garden, sometimes he used to spend his time in the very old gardens, very spacious gardens, and which I almost had him to himself. He was alone there. Occasionally, now and then, a solitary gardening man would cross me. So he was almost alone at that time when he spent his time there. And the full garden, he got his garden to himself when he was there. And occasionally, a solitary, a lonely gardening man used to cross him. And how the nectarines and peaches hung upon the walls without my ever offering to pluck them, because they were forbidden fruit unless now and then. And